Now on to China, where tensions continue to mount. Now, this is after the Chinese military accused the U.S. of undermining global security. Now, not long after this accusation, a U.S. Navy cruiser moved through the Taiwan Strait. This is raising alarms in Beijing because China's military says it is ready for war if Taiwan moves towards independence. And earlier this month, the U.S. approved the sale of $2.2 billion in arms to Taiwan, a deal that has China threatening sanctions in response. To go further in depth, we turn to Sorba Gupta of the Institute for China-America Studies here in studio with us. You know, if it wasn't already tight tensions before with China, this doesn't help the situation, but it is nothing new. Why do those in Taiwan, what is the advantage to them having independence from China?
They have a very different system out there. This is all part and parcel of a civil war which started in the 1940s. They have a very different view of how China should be run and should be governed, and they view themselves as a legitimate government of China. Of course, they were kicked out of China and have the administration in Taiwan, and I think they've given up that they'll ever be able to capture mainland China. They'd rather have their own country, and that's the reason they're going down the path.
Well, and that's something that you kind of have to look at, because what is the likelihood of Taiwan actually seeing independence without military involvement right now? When you think of everything that's going on and you look at the actions, there's already tensions between China. You bring Taiwan into this. This is nothing new. They've obviously wanted it, but what is the chance that this could happen without actually getting military involved, especially with this new deal of equipment sales that we've just done, the United States has done to Taiwan?
I think the chances of independence actually being realized are very, very slim. We will need to see mainland China, for some reason, collapse under its own weight for internal reasons, at which point they will use the opportunity to declare independence. And even that declaration of independence, I don't think will be sustained for any period of time, because mainland China will come back, because this is a core sovereignty interest of the Chinese. The arms sales is a slightly separate issue, because the arms sales provide Taiwan the confidence to stand up to mainland China and at least maintain its own system until such day it can have some sort of consensual agreement. But with this current government in Taipei, that looks very far, because their creed is independence, frankly.
Well, that's the thing. With this arms sales, you know, is this just making a sale for the United States, or is this actually us promising that we're going to back them up if they decide to pursue this and get more aggressive?
That's a really interesting point. You know, the great area of tension is when a Chinese core sovereignty interest also implicates an American alliance obligation. Now, U.S. doesn't have an alliance obligation to Taipei. It's very vaguely worded. But that said, it is seen in some respects that if the U.S. did not come to support Taipei in some regard, that the U.S.'s posture in the Asia-Pacific would face a huge setback. So from that perspective, the U.S. does sell arms, does have a vague defense guarantee, but the idea here is to provide Taipei the confidence. But I think at some point of time, with all that has been happening in cross-strait affairs, it's actually complicating and adding to the tensions.
Well, that's the thing. I think it does complicate it. It's not like the United States and China right now are singing Kumbaya and sitting at the negotiating table. What does this do to Chinese-U.S. relations? Does this have any effect on what we've been talking about for months now, is this trade dispute that seems to be never-ending?
I think it has a very, very significant implication on the trade dispute. And I think the one person in the administration, frankly, who does get it is President Trump. He has been trying to ensure that whatever cooperation happens between the U.S. and Taipei remains beneath a threshold which really completely irritates the Chinese off, so that he can still maintain the groundwork and that foundation for that deal. They're going back, Mr. Mnuchin and Mr. Lighthizer are going back next week. Hopefully there will be forward progress on this front. But remember, it's not just about the White House. Congress has gotten into the act. The DPP is entering into the Taiwanese government, entering into an electoral cycle. Everybody has their own incentives to just add to the complication.
And that does not help in any other way. What do other Asian countries feel about this, and where are they lining up behind Taiwan or China? What is in their best interest?
Formally, they're all behind China.
Okay.
But informally, they do not want force to be used in any circumstance to resolve this issue, because it sends a very poor message with regard to where Asian international relations is going. And also, they just don't want force to also happen because it kind of loosens the restrictions on the use of force more generally in the area. But they're also very, very clear that Taipei should not play a provocative role and that the two governments must find a way to talk to each other and find some sort of a consensus.
Well, conversation
solution.
always works better. Unfortunately, sometimes it seems like we go conversation 2 steps forward and 3 steps back in our dealings with China. This obviously complicated it, like you said. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll continue to watch this.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.